Welcome. I'm back in town. Kelly and I made it back with our big delivery of Kelly's new truck. We made it back safe and sound. We're in our home and we're ready for our big show tonight, Friday night, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Those of you on Spotify and Apple and Megaphone, thank you for joining us tonight. And those of you on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thanks for being a part of Your Saltwater Guide, and thank you for the millions and millions of views. Thank you very, very much. I cannot tell you how happy I am with all the views on all the social media platforms, all the new subscribers on YouTube. Oh my gosh, we're over 210,000 subscribers on Facebook. Oh my gosh, it's just incredible. And I want to thank you all. Tonight we have a very, very special guest joining us. We brought her and her boyfriend Eric down to take care of Marley and Finn. Shala Mansur, Todd Mansur's little baby sister and owner of John's Fish Market in Dana Point Harbor, and used to be my deckhand on the Wild and Sack. Hey, Shala, thanks for joining us tonight. This is going to be fun. I'm super excited to have you. I was going to do it live from your fish market, but we weren't able to work that out. So now we're live from my house. How rad is that, gang? You will not believe how incredible this young lady is. I've known this young lady since she was born. Her mom and dad lived in our house. Her father worked for my father, just like her brother worked for my father. Shayla's worked for the family for many, many years. Shala worked for me. Shayla's been around this industry for a very long time, and now she's taken over her father's legacy, and she runs John's Fish Market down in Dana Point Harbor. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to jump all the way back, though. For those of you that don't know who Shala is, we're going to start back at the beginning, and we're going to work our way up to where we are now. But
hi guys,
Shala, let's look at a picture here we got. This is you and your brother Todd. Now, a lot of our viewers know Todd because Todd's been on the show a couple times. We did a big tribute to Ralph, and we'll talk about Ralph a little bit in a little while. But Shala, talk about this picture. Where are you in that picture? Who is that?
Well, I call that the Mansur dock because that's the first dock in the wharf. I'm in Dana Wharf. I'm at Dana Point Harbor. That's where I grew up. That's where I live daily. That's my brother behind me and my cousin and my grandpa. And we were probably down there visiting my dad on the docks. And that's probably about 1971, I'd say. Yeah.
It was right in the very beginning of Dana Wharf Sport Fishing when her father, John Mansur, worked for my dad off the San Clemente Pier, and then he came over to Dana Point Harbor with my father when they ran out of the trailer out in the parking lot. And the little guy in the blue shirt, that's Todd, and then the little girl in the very front, that is
me,
Shala. And hey, talk a little bit about growing up Mansur.
Ooh, well, that's a big limelight.
Yeah.
So, it was a little commercial fishing harbor back then. It was a lot more commercial than it is now. So that was a different time. Most of the harbor was just engulfed with fishermen and workers and some restaurateurs, but not very many tourists. It wasn't very touristy. Not a lot of people came in from outside, and when they did, they'd stay and become family. So we grew up with the skate arcade. It was down the hatch at the time, was Turks, and so that was the viewpoint right there. My dad had a couple of different sword fishing boats there, the Cypolaris, and then my brother had the Cypolaris. I should say my dad fished off of it, and then there was the Heatherby and the two
Uncle
sons,
Larry.
Uncle Larry,
and then the two sons was your
George
dad.
Clough was big, and Kenny was big in my life.
Nielsen.
Kenny Nielsen, and I had a picture. I should have brought it on here. Gene Stivers, rest in peace. He just passed, and so that was it. I was just always this little grommet, this little mutt running around trying to get everybody's attention, and getting in trouble and picking on people and roller skating because that's what we did. And
Thanks, Augie.
Oh, you can see him on there?
Yeah, there are people.
Okay.
Elliot throws up.
Yay, Elliot.
I see something. Yep. Yes, you do, John Rowe. That's right. Shala has the fish market.
Okay, this stuff
Dana Point Harbor
is amazing. Okay, something's fishy. I want this in my store right away. So hit me up.
With the fish market, it's very, very fishy smell. Not because the fish smell, but because of their clothes and everything else.
I'll tell you what it is.
Okay, hold on. Sorry.
No, it's not the fish. It's the smoked fish. So we're a wet market because we're constantly processing our own seafood in the back there. So it's always wet. And the smoker is back there. So when you're smoking the fish, the smoke gets stuck in the water. So we call it the eternal stench. But
got it.
It's not a fish.
Okay.
It's a smoke smell. And it's
all right.
Stinchy.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not go fish market yet.
No, okay.
So you and I and your brother, and I'm just a few years older than both of you, but we grew up in the harbor, in Dana Point Harbor.
Like literally.
And Shala, when we were little kids, her brother was breakdancing all over the harbor, and Shala was running around with purple hair and pink hair.
He had a piece of linoleum that he would put out on that center little island in the harbor, the one where you turn the corner and almost hit everybody. And he would roll the linoleum out in his big MC Hammer pants and his little white tank top and all his tattoos. And he would bring his big boom box and he'd roll out the linoleum and he'd break dance right there in the middle.
As you all know, Todd's a showman, and he always has been since he was a little kid.
Yeah.
And there was a place in the harbor when we were little kids called the Skate Arcade. Skate Arcade, right at the top of the dock where I worked, because I'm a little older than they are.
The Mansur dock.
So on the Mansur dock, the boardroom dock, and at the end, when you would walk off, you'd walk right into the arcade. It was like right at the top of the dock, and Shala and her little friends.
I would go shuck 4 oysters for Kyoko at the fish market to get 2 quarters to give to my brother to take me fishing on his little skiff out at the bait dock.
Crazy
True story.
times. We were the crazy little kids running around down there. Thought we were all that in a bag of chips, though, because our dads were super famous.
Super famous.
They were super famous, and we got to fish with them. Hey, Frank Brennan.
Hey.
So it was kind of cool growing up, Mansur and Hanson. I mean, like your brother and I used to tell everybody, my dad owns half the harbor and Todd's dad owns the other half. And that was your dad. And that's how we would run around as little snot-nosed brat kids. We thought we were all that in a bag of chips.
I was the true entitled.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know unprivileged.
We didn't. Yeah, but we didn't. We thought we were privileged because we were running around the harbor. Our dads didn't have nothing either. None of us had anything, but we sure thought we had it. We thought we had it all. Maybe our dads were captains running the boats, and we were snot-nosed little brats.
Everybody knew about it. I remember getting pulled over from being out past, I don't even know if there was a curfew, but late by the cops, and literally telling him who my dad is.
Lindy's son works for you.
And then all that happened was like a couple.
His son works for you?
Who's that?
Kurt Lindy.
Who's your son?
His son works at John's.
Lindy.
Okay.
Well,
he'll tell us.
What's his first name?
Well, he'll tell us.
So, we got to get into the kids because that's the most important thing.
We're going to the fish market in a little bit. This is going to be a great show. I'm telling you. Sit back, relax.
Oh, there's a lot.
You're going to hear a lot of history down in Dana Point Harbor, gang. It was crazy times growing up there as kids.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was so fun.
It was really fun. I mean, all around the whole area. I mean, but the harbor especially. Yeah, it was
Carter.
A special time.
Do you have someone?
Oh, Carter. Okay, so that's why, because Carter's new. I love Carter. We are going to put Carter on every summer shift.
This is Carter's
That kid, I don't know what you did, but he knows how to work. And,
wow.
And not one day of training,
very
he
nice.
Just started busting. I said,
very nice.
I videotaped him for a little snappy chat thing or TikTok YouTube thing. And I asked him what why did he want to work at John's? And he said, because he loves to be a busboy. And I'm just like, yes, this kid fits in perfect.
Wow, incredible.
So, Carter's good.
Thank you, Kurt, very much.
Yeah.
But going back to Dana Point Harbor, like Eric and you and I were talking when we were having dinner tonight, life was just so much simpler and easier back then. I mean, we drank out of the hose. We drank out of the water spigots in the harbor. We just ran amok and just carried on and did whatever. Life was so much freer and easier. There was none of this. There were none of these. Thank gosh.
Okay.
Because you and I'd be in jail.
We would be in jail.
But there were no phones. There was nobody recording what we were doing. There was nobody call. If you needed to call somebody, you had to get a dime and go to that payphone right in front of my dad's office. Remember?
And hope they answer.
And you would call, and you would either call the Jolly Roger,
right, or down the hatch,
and try to get hold of our parents.
Or you call the office and have them say their name over the loudspeaker. If they were on the boat and you needed to get a hold of them, you call Dana Wharf and have them page them over the loudspeaker onto the boat.
And then our dads would come up and we'd be standing by the payphone, and then we would ambush them.
Yeah,
that's how it was.
We needed money
when we were little. We needed money to play.
So do you know why we drink out of the hose? Because we weren't allowed inside.
Yeah, you didn't.
You had to stay outside.
You weren't allowed to go in the office or on the boat. Yeah, we were just snot-nosed little brat kids. We couldn't go inside. So then, Shala, you didn't do the fishing thing.
No.
You didn't. I mean, you do it now, and you do it. The level that she's done this at, gang, it's going to blow your mind when we get into the stories of where she's been and what she's done. But so you went out and just were a girl.
I was a girl. I was mom.
You went out for a girl and then became a mommy.
Mm-hmm. Best job I ever had.
Yes, and you have 2 beautiful daughters, and now you have
Katie and Lukey.
And you have a couple of grandchildren already.
Yep, and
that's
hopefully
pretty
more
special,
soon.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's pretty special, huh?
Fucking
and then,
fucking rad.
Then you came back to the harbor.
Yes.
You did all that. You went out to be a mom and raise some children, and then you came back to the harbor.
Because I thought I thought, what could I do in my later years that I don't have to, go through years and years of school, that would be easy on my bones and my body when I get older.
And
I said, I want to drive boats.
She wants to be a captain.
I wanted to be a captain.
And she is a captain. She got her captain's license.
I did, but yeah.
And then you went to work down at the wharf.
You want to know the story?
Yeah,
let me tell you
no,
the
we all
story.
do. Everybody watching.
So it was a well thought out plan, okay? So my nephew, Tyler, left some clothes at my house. And I said, I'm going to go down to Dana Wharf and I'm going to use my power and my name, right? Because everybody still loves me, but they just haven't seen me in a long time. Very much. And I'm going to go talk to Donna and I'm going to get on the boat.
My sister.
And I'm going to get a deckhand job so I can start getting my sea time to get my captain's license, right? So I go down, but the only shirt that he had in there was a Catalina Express t-shirt, okay? So I go down and I talk to Donna, and Donna and I, we've been the same since children, right? So, and I'm like, so yeah, I'm thinking about getting my captain's license. She's like, oh my God, I would love to have a female captain, blah, 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 blah. And she, and this is like, I don't know when, not a good time. They weren't looking for help, right? And I'm like, okay, so what do I do? Like, right? I think I go to Donna and I just get a job. Well, no, I know that's different now. And she goes, and she looks at my shirt and she goes, oh, where'd you get the Catalina Express shirt? Well, I need someone on parking. I'm like, I'll do it. I'm like, great. So I did Catalina Express for 5 years.
Yeah, and that's
I love that job. So what I got out of it though was that I got to get reintroduced back into the harbor, back into my fellowship of friends and family and everybody down there, and just kind of watch everything and see how everything was going and where I fit in, what I wanted to do, and what kind of was there for me at the time. And yeah, that's what I did. I hadn't hung out with my dad and my brother for many years, except for birthday parties and Christmas and stuff. So I got to see them for a couple minutes every day, and they got to know me a little bit, and Corey Hall and everybody down there got to kind of,
they didn't know you.
They didn't know me.
No, you weren't there when
because what we do now, what you and Todd do, that is a daily grind. Fishing, being a fisherman, being a boat captain, being on the boats, that kind of work is labor. That is intense work. So you live in your job. I live in my job now.
Right.
And so I lived somewhere else.
But you did that for a little while for my family.
Right.
And then you said, I want to go check out something else. And
I needed to get on a boat.
Watch this. You guys won't even believe this. Watch this. I want to show you something. Then you went.
Oh, yeah.
Gang, you watched this TV show called Deadliest Catch? Well, she went and I
worked on all the boats.
Shayla's an extremist. So
I'm a Mansur.
She doesn't do anything little bit. She went from showing you where to park in the harbor to I'm going to go work on the deadliest catch boats. And she did it at the highest. She was there. She did it, gang.
Yeah, they didn't realize that I wasn't really a fishing princess.
Well, you were walking around with
the name got me there.
The
name got me there. So a friend of mine, Paul, rest his soul, Paul Garcia and Chris Garcia. Paul called me up drunk one night. I didn't know he was drunk at the time. He said, well, because I put on my Facebook, I just turned 40 and or was
Think
about,
of that,
about
girls.
to.
Think of that,
yeah,
ladies.
And
she just turned 40.
I was just about to turn 40. Yeah.
She went to Alaska.
Yeah.
To go deadliest catch fishing.
Learn
You've seen that show.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna pull the picture down. We'll put it back up again in a minute. And so you went out there and worked for them boys, right?
Yeah, I just took a leap.
Kind of a different thing.
It was
a lot of girls not doing
I
that.
fell in love. That's when I fell in love with so that's when I fell in love with boating and the harbor and the fishing industry and the work, and I knew I was home. So not necessarily there, but I knew where my love was, because the kids weren't little anymore, and I can't do that again. And that was my most favorite thing in the world to do. And that's only part-time, is being a mommy. And so, now what? Now, how do you find out what your true passion is? How do you find out what you really want to do? And I remember the first time going into Seattle, I could cry right now. First time going into Seattle and just seeing the big ports, the little harbors, all of the fishing stuff. I got goosebumps all over my legs. A little
different than Dana Point Harbor.
It was more than I could imagine. And so then I go in, they put me in a hotel, and then they, and I have no idea. I mean, Paul never called me back. He just said, do this, 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 and this. And I did that, and that. And then this next person said, do this, 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 and this. And I did that, and then you're on your way, right? And then I didn't even know what to wear. I thought, don't laugh. Don't freaking laugh. I thought, okay, Alaska was an island. Get that, okay? That's how smart I am, because on the map, you got Hawaii over here and you got Alaska over here. They never put two and two together until that moment. It was a fleeting thing, right? Okay, I didn't do good in school. I didn't have to. I was a Mansur. I got away with everything. So I go and I get there and it's all connected. And then they tell me, and then
take it easy there. Take it easy. Calm down. Remember, she was a mommy, and she was the best mommy that she could possibly be. Calm down. On that map, it looks like Alaska's an island. Just relax. Okay, calm down.
There's a lot of islands.
Right? Just take it easy. Okay, come on.
So a lot of it is. I'm like, wait, just for a second. I was just like, is it an island?
Yeah.
There was a lot of the Aleutian Islands. It was really good. It happened so fast. So anyway, so then I got to Seattle and they put me in a hotel, and it was just the whole time really highly respectful. So there was zero tolerance company. They were very strict about no drugs and alcohol, which is right up my alley.
Because we're sober.
Because we're sober.
Gang, we're sober.
And
she went up there at 40.
With years
sober.
Yeah.
Sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were sober, and she still thought it was an island. So calm down. Just calm down. Just take it easy.
I only had to go to 6th grade. I was a Mansur. They pushed me through everything. I had privileges. I didn't go to school.
That's why you need to stay in school.
That's why you need to stay.
Absolutely. You don't want to think Alaska's an island. For God's sake.
I probably shouldn't have said that one.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Most people don't even know who the president is right now, so don't worry about it.
I don't think he knows. Okay, so then I got up there and they gave me a taxi to go down to do drug testing, physical, all that stuff. Great. I mean, I think anybody with any amount of adrenaline can get through any of that. Then they put you on another plane, and that plane goes to Alaska. It goes to Anchorage. And then they put you on a smaller plane. That one takes you to, King Cove. Then they put you on a little tiny helicopter. That one takes you to North Naknek. And then they take you to a little tiny little helicopter. And that one will take you out to
the ship?
To the Bering Sea, right onto the shore of wherever, the closest that your boat is.
Come on.
Yeah. I got seasick the first time I went out there.
Well, yeah, everybody does. We watch that show. Every greenhorn gets seasick.
Yeah.
It's a gnarly ocean, right?
It's gnarly. It's gnarly. So you're in like Bristol Bay at first, and it's like really mellow, and you think
You guys,
it's all
you think
okay.
you're studs?
You think
Dude,
you're
you guys
good.
think you're studs? She did it. She did it. Okay,
And
that
then you
isn't
try to go out, and so that's a glorious picture, of course.
that ain't a pretend picture. It's not Photoshop,
No.
guys.
No, and that's actually a small crab compared to some of them. That was a pretty gnarly situation. So you end up having to cut bait while you're going through like, 10-foot waves, but they're coming from every angle. Every angle.
It's like a washing machine.
Yeah, and you're on like 150,000-year-old boat.
Not like the yacht
made of wood.
Not like
wood and plugs everywhere. But it was amazing, and I was extremely respected and taught everything. They just, they were never. I never missed a beat up there. It was really great. I didn't like the first time I tried crabbing, so I didn't have to stay. I only did 2 weeks. So then
you did 2 weeks.
But I did 2 weeks, and then it was the end of the season, anyways. When he threw me up there, he threw me up there on that boat because he wanted me on the one certain boat. The first boat that I actually deckhanded on, so that was just a service on that boat. So the first one that I actually deckhanded on was the Tuck Sydney. The Tuck Sydney the year before, and this is where the story of being rescued comes in. So the Tuck Sydney.
Well, they don't know that one. Don't jump ahead.
All right. So the Tuck Sydney was a little five crew tender. So they went out to Bristol Bay, basically in the Bristol Bay area, to offload boats of their salmon during the openers, and it was purse seining, and then you would separate all the salmon out, and then night drive or anchor watch and stuff like that.
And they would go on. You guys would take the fish.
So then we would take it back to
and then take it
so
to
they
the
could continue
processing
fishing.
plant.
Yeah, exactly. We would take it to the processing plant,
and they would take the stuff to the.
And then we'd also sell them like food and anything that they needed. So it was a true tender job. So that one, towards the end of that season, I caught a high fever, and they thought that I had appendicitis. So we anchored up in just right below Sitka, and wasn't that the Sitka? Yeah, and it was so beautiful. I just remember it being so beautiful. But I caught like 105 fever. It was really bad. So I was passed out. They came and they put ice on me, and they got me into, I had to go up to the wheelhouse because I had to go onto the radio if I could to acknowledge to the Coast Guard. And I couldn't make it up the stairs. So they called the Coast Guard in. The Coast Guard came in. They had to put me out on deck. Oh,
and they came in with a helicopter, right?
They came in with a helicopter. That gave me so much adrenaline. I was so excited. So excited.
Now you're gonna get to get
holy shit! Like they're like really, literally. And I thought it was going to cost me money. It was going to cost them money. This is actually part of our country, you guys. Those men and women. They're there to. God, that job that they do is just so selfless and really hard. So all of a sudden, this helicopter circles around on this beautiful island. It's hotter up there than it is down here in California at that time. And I had a cell phone. We didn't have service, but I had a cell phone that I was taking pictures on. And I'm out on the deck with like this blanket because I'm shivering because I have a fever. And all of them are standing way back. And I'm like in the center of the deck on the boat waiting for this helicopter. This guy comes down. His name is Cameron. This guy comes down. So I set on my phone and I put my phone up and took video of him coming down. And everything.
Oh, wow.
I get up there, and before passing out up there, they say, "Is it okay if we film you?" I guess it was on.
She made the TV show. Coast Guard.
Coast Guard Alaska.
She was on the show.
The Lure of Alaska.
You guys can't believe it. This is how badass she is. Okay? She got airlifted, and not only did she get airlifted off the boat, but she's a Mansur, so actually going to be on TV.
Yeah, I got to be on TV.
They filmed it. Yeah. She was on
So,
Coast Guard Alaska. You can go see the episode.
To that.
What's the episode
so
called?
the year before that.
No, what's the episode called?
Yeah, The Lure of Alaska.
The Lure of Alaska. You guys.
The Alaskan Lure or something like that.
You can YouTube.
And it's the whole show, because the first half of the show is about those 5 crew members that the year before saved 5 people because there was a big storm and the Coast Guard couldn't get to all the boats. So they just decided on their own that they were going to go out and rescue them, and they got the Medal of Honor. and they got this big, huge,
Wow.
appreciation. So they gave back the favor, and then I passed out. I remember them saying over the radio, "We're just paying back all the gifts you gave us last year." And then I passed out.
How cool is that? Wow, how
yeah,
unbelievable.
I didn't have appendicitis. I had my gallbladder quit, so we ended up having surgery in
That's
Seattle.
a big deal?
Yeah. I got on TV. However you got to do it, right, girl?
And you did fished on the Deadliest catch boats, and you were up there with all the boys in Alaska, and we can talk about that. That could be a whole show.
That could.
But now she comes back to Dana Point, and I'm at a point in when I'm running this the Hatteras, you guys see a lot of the videos and a lot of the pictures on and stuff, and I'm running this Hatteras, and my deckhand at the time had some medical problems. And I asked Shala if she wanted to come work on the boat with me, because I needed a deckhand, and she wanted more sea time. She needed some more sea time. She needed time to get her captain's license. Plus, she wanted to go fish. She wanted to fish.
Because that year before, I was in Alaska watching the summer tuna breakout, where the guy literally caught a tuna on the dock in the harbor. I'm like, next year I'm fishing in California.
My buddy Kevin speared one off the dock in Dana Point Harbor. It's got millions and millions of views on YouTube. Guy spears a tuna in Dana Point Harbor. It's a radical video, but
I'm like, I'm going to be there.
So it was 2014, and I asked Shala if she would come work on the Wild and Sack with me, and you accepted the challenge and you took the job. And gang, at this time, we were fishing every single day. It was 2014, 2015. It was the last El Nino when those wahoo showed up, when all the crazy stuff was going on. Shala was my deckhand, and that was the year that bluefin showed up. And if you say, oh, that bluefin was your old, well, no one had caught it yet. And that was the year that we found that bluefin. And we were knocking the living bejesus out of the yellowfin every day. You were having so much fun, right? Were we catching any fish?
We were catching so many fish. I have so many pictures where I'm all over the deck with fish. And that was, those were really
That was an incredible time, right?
Then
all of a sudden, we're catching all this yellowfin day in and day out, day in and day out.
And then who came in and showed us the kite?
Jeff from the Cowboy. But we found this bluefin one day, and I know there was a lot of you that found them, but you know what? You had forgotten to tell anybody. So my buddy was
huge.
My buddy was on the Cowboy, Jeff Richardson, and I'm on Wild and Sack, and we're about 5 miles apart, but we can see each other in the gyro stabilizing binoculars, and between us are just no other boats, greased flat ocean, and just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 200-pound bluefin are just everywhere. And he's catching them, and we aren't, because we don't know how to spell kite, let alone have a kite. We don't have a kite. We don't have a kite rod. We don't have a kite nothing. We don't have a rubber flying fish. We don't got nothing. But I do have friends in the industry, so I called up Jeff that night, and I said, well, what'd you do? How'd you do it? Where'd you do it? What'd you do? He said, hey, Hanson. And Jeff used to work for the family. He used to work for Dana Sport Fishing, but he's a big-time yacht captain. And
wasn't it on the
superstar fishing? Oh, yeah. This was, don't tell anybody. Keep this quiet. Don't tell anybody. I know you already were all doing it. I know that. So just calm down and don't leave those comments, because we already know you were doing it way before. We already know that. You did it at a way better, higher level. We know that. But Jeff came out, and he brought his kite and his kite reel, and he showed us how to do it. And we basically went down into Mexico, and we caught our first kite fish with his deckhand. Remember, he gave us his deckhand. And Brian. And Brian went with us, and he showed us how to do it, and we caught our first fish on the kite in 2015 and I'm just being honest, we didn't know poop from Shinola how to do any of it. But we all paid attention, and we learned. And I'm telling you, we learned. Because I wanted to do it. I wanted to start catching these things, and I knew I could find them. I just didn't know how to catch them. So Shala was there.
We did a lot of different stuff. We had to try a lot of different things, a lot of different ways, a lot of different winds. It's a whole nother driving with the balloon and the kite. And it's not as easy as you think especially when you're watching these fish all around you and you're just like, we gotta get them.
And you're freaking out.
Like, you gotta get them.
And so Brian showed us how to do it, and we did it with the double trouble that day. We did a live mackerel. We put it right in we put it in 20 foamers, and then finally we got one to bite, and we got it. And we
Get the picture.
75. No. That was the 75 pounder. Then we went out the next time by ourselves. Shala, I, and my good friend Spider, and then my boss at the time and his wife and their two children. Okay?
Best.
And we go out there, and I'm in the gyros, and I see these giants. And there was no boats at this time. I know now you can't even comprehend that, but in 2015, there were no boats. There was nobody out there but us. And there was no competition. There was no one. And then I saw Pete Grosbeck off like 7-8 miles away from me in the gyros. I saw him, and then I saw Jeff like 3 or 4 miles below me. But there was like no small boat. There was no competition. It was just like we had this world at 2015 to ourselves in the beginning.
It was like 2015 to 2016. Was
ours. And it was spectacular. And this was the first day we tried doing it by ourselves, and there are spot after spot after spot of 200 to 300 pound fish all over the place. And the other two boats that are out there, they're bit, but we're trying to figure this kite thing out. And Shala and Kenny Spider are down there on the deck working this kite, and our boss is down there, and we don't really know what we're doing, but we're going to bring this rubber flying fish through the first. We got it set up so that the wind's blowing perfect, and this rubber flying fish is going to go right into this breezer of big bluefin. And we are like so excited because none of us have ever seen it before. I'm just being honest. And this little rubber flying fish is skipping into the middle of the bluefin, and all of a sudden, you would have thought we won the lottery.
Dude, that was just insane. That bite.
So loud.
Watching that bite, I could see it in slow motion in my head. Like, it was just like...
And it ate it. And our boss fought this fish we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know anything about keeping the boat in gear, walking it down swell. We had this fish in the death circle for an hour, and he would come up right on the surface on the outside, and then he would dive down the way you guys do it all when you're doing it the wrong way, and he would come up on the outside on the surface, and he would dive underneath the boat and go around, and he was doing this death circle for an hour, and then the hook pulled out. Like he was 200 or 20 feet down, just out of gaff range, and the hook pulled out. And we all stood there, and we were just...
That's the day I fell in love with bluefin.
We were like, oh, you can't... This couldn't have just happened. No, it fell out. And I was like, hold on a second. I see another giant school. Get everything ready. Still, there were no boats. I'm just telling you, there was no boats. So there was no competition.
Back around and get another one.
So we put the kite back up. We swung back around, and it's going. And it's skipping along, and it's skipping along, and it's skipping along, and it goes through the first school, and it goes right over the top of them, and none of them eat it. And then out of nowhere, this fish broke off from the pack and came like he was just...
Like from the outside.
Like he was so pissed off.
Outside wake.
And he jumped out of the water and ate this thing, and I couldn't believe it. We were bit again in like 5 minutes, gang. You can't even make this up. Shala was there. I know I embellish a lot, but Shala was there. God, we fought this one for another hour and a half into the dark. We put that fish on the boat at 9 o'clock at night in the pitch black dark, right?
I look like a sumo wrestler. Yeah. All we wanted to do was get that freaking flyer back out again. We just wanted to get that fish in so we could get it back out again. A lot of lessons.
And we learned a ton on that trip. And Shala was the deck. Shala was it. She was it. And so then, but you won't even believe this. So we fought 2 fish in 3.5 hours. And we have 2 little children on the boat. Little. Bradley and
Cayman.
Cayman were little. They were little kids. And trying to keep them involved in trying to keep them. So what does Shala do? We had a bunch of balloons that we would use to fly the kite, and we had a bunch of helium. So Shala, while all this poop show was going on, Shala had a full-on dance party inside the salon of the boat.
When
she blew up all the balloons with helium. I went inside the salon. I couldn't even believe it.
It was dark. I knew we weren't going to fish anymore.
Music was playing. They're having a dance party. The kids are having the time of their lives. We're out on the back deck, high-fiving. Oh, my gosh. It was unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was incredible. And then you had so much fun working for me. You decided that you wanted to go back to Alaska. Right? You had so much fun. I
had goals, and we'll get to those in a minute.
She had so much fun that she tells me when we start to power the boat that she's gone. This is it. I'm done. So I hired my buddy Mike Maddox, who now is running a big 66-foot.
Who I taught how to do the kite.
Right. Shayla, now she's teaching people how to fly the kite. She's going on. You used to go out on my clients' my members of my website's boats with them and show them how to fly the kite, right?
If you need to know how to fly the kite
now.
And Dave's not available, come hit me up. I need some money,
We became experts of the kite. We didn't even know how to spell kite. Now all of a sudden we're running kite lessons and we're taking people out and showing them how to do it. It was pretty incredible.
I like to see the new ways that people have of doing the kite. Like they have the frozen flying fish now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool.
Back in those days, we were using the rubber ones.
Yeah.
But everything evolves and everything changes, and you got to be ready to change. And that's why we were successful, because we change all the time. I never stop learning. I'm always learning. But I was very blessed to have Shayla with me at the time, and the bosses loved her, and she was good with the kids, and she was great because she could shop and she could go get the food and stuff, because I was doing everything at the time. It was absolutely gnarly. And Kelly was selling boats in Newport, and we were both working our asses off. So you were a great help to us.
I could pick up ice.
Very, very much. And she kept the bosses very, very happy too. Yeah. So everybody was real happy. But then you left and you went back to Alaska again, right?
I did. I had to do a final season.
And go
so
see
I did cod,
if you really
pollock,
didn't like it.
Cod, pollock, herring, and salmon. So, yeah.
And then what happened?
There was some intent to that, though.
Yeah? Yeah. So talk about it.
So there was a plan. So, well, at the same time, I realized that both of my parents, Sharon and my dad, my stepmom and my dad, were not in the shape that they would have liked to have been health-wise to be running our family restaurant. And it looked as though, because they had been trying to sell it, but because of the harbor situation at that time, which is a lot like the stuff going on at this time, there wasn't really much to sell. So they weren't really having any luck with that. And I know that they were getting, that they were getting to the point where, they were struggling with it, because they didn't want to close the doors on it, because it's our family. It's a huge community situation. It would be really, really sad. And then at the same time, the way that they started out as a little family restaurant, it was never like some big, huge restaurant that, made all this sorts of money and just made a living and for them. And so, to hire someone to come in to actually take it over, it wasn't really something that was, really getting a lot of really good applicants in. So it wasn't really being taken care of.
Right.
And so I was working for your sister at the time, and your sister plays a huge vital part in this because of just things that she would say and the examples that she showed. And, and many times sitting there at the window at Catalina Express with Kelly, England, she would say, why aren't you over there? Why aren't you running the fish market? And, and it just was always the same answer until one day it wasn't. But it was like, well, there's no money in it. And I'd ask my dad and Sharon, I'd be like, do you want some help here? They're like, no, it was hard for them. It was hard getting into their older years, and the way that it looked for them and the way that it is for them, is different than it is for my age and, this time in my life and someone younger. And so, so I worked there for a little bit under the conditions that they were under. And I decided that I was going to go think about it. So that's when I went and thought about it.
Right.
And so I went to Alaska, and one of the things that I could do best in Alaska was that I could really kind of see things a little bit clearer. It's real fucking busy in California.
Whoa.
Sorry. Oops. It's really busy in California. It's extremely stressful sometimes in the restaurant industry and the fishing industry, and and in the public,
and where everybody knows you.
Yeah, and everybody knows
it's hard to have a second to talk.
Yeah, and plus I'm socially.
And there was another big thing was going on too with your mom.
With my biological mom,
right?
With Katie, my mom was passing away.
Right,
my mom had passed away.
There was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff.
You needed a timeout. You needed a break.
I needed to figure out what was going to
walk away for a minute and figure life out. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was kind of the place to kind of put it on paper, because I got a lot of alone time out in the water out there, because you have to do a minimum of 90 days, and a lot of that time you're just sitting there fishing. Like your own fishing, like you're just sitting at, just waiting for openings.
To go unload.
Yeah, waiting for openings to go get
Waiting for
fish.
the offload.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Stay right on this. We got to just show you guys something. Hey, gang, on that show last week we did with the War Heroes, Larry and the guys over at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance want to make sure that everybody understands that they are, on the silent auction, they're giving away a great trip to Alaska to their lodge up there. So make sure that you hit that QR code and go over there and look at what they have going on at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. It's a big deal what's going on over there. He's a huge contributor to War Heroes on Water, which is near and dear to my heart, as you saw and you listened to the show last week and what all the cool things that are going on. So make sure that you hit that QR code right now and grab the information and go over there and see what they got going on at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. I'm telling you, you want a trip of a lifetime? You want to go check this out, gang. There is so much going on. He's got so many cool trips. He's got trips going out of San Diego on boats like the Success. He's got the lodge up in Alaska. He's got the lodge down in Lopez Mateo. He's got the other lodge over at over just outside Aubrey Ojos. And here, hold on 1 second. Look at this. All right, gang, what a great interview we're having here. We'll get right back to it in just a second. But check out Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. Larry. And check out Larry. Check out the whole operation. Make sure you grab that QR code. Don't be shy. It's easy. It's free. Check it out. Go over there and look at all the different things he's got going on. And I know he has some openings on that trip going on the Success. So check it all out. Go over there, look at it, and understand that also that silent auction to support the War Heroes on Water is a big deal, and that's a big thing for them to do over there at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. So make sure that you check them out. You won't be disappointed. Trip of a lifetime. Go fishing. Take away the fear of fishing in Mexico. Take away the fear of fishing in Alaska. You can go with someone who knows the area, knows what's going on. Yeah, and there's plenty of stuff to do for your wives, plenty of stuff to do for your spouse. Just go check out Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance and Larry Hansen. Can't go wrong with that last name. It can't be bad. Check out Larry Hansen. And all right, so let's go back to what we were talking about, Shayla. We're talking about.
I love that.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, War Heroes on Water is near and dear to my heart. So now you went up there to Alaska. You kicked back on the back of the boat while you're waiting for them to unload and try to just figure out your life. Mm-hmm. Try to figure out at 45 years old.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I'm a grown up now.
What am I going to do?
I finally.
Well, there was a lot of stuff going on. So there was a lot of family stuff going on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of distance happening. A lot of things that I didn't feel needed to happen.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. Yeah, it is the best fish and chips by far.
Thank you. Watching my brother struggle. My dad and my brother. They worked together their whole lives, and to watch like everything that my dad built go downhill was really hard for my brother, and my brother was having a hard time too. Right. He was having a hard time. It was really hard to watch. I I'd be working at the Catalina Express and I would hear people talk shit about the fish market, or they'd be saying, nothing about the fish market. And it was just wrong. It was just all
because
wrong.
It's such an integral part of Dana Point.
It was huge.
Such
and
a
I was
huge
like,
part of
so
Dana
I
Point.
went and I did a couple of business plans, and I looked at a couple of different things, and I did a lot of research because we had Wi-Fi by then in Alaska on the phones. On the boats. And so, and I looked into the fact that and by at this time, while I'm working at Catalina Express and Dana Wharf there, I'm also integrating myself into the harbor business meetings. Like I'm going for my parents because they just stopped going.
And
because
Donna's helping
just like
you in that.
And your sister's like throwing me little treasures of like pointers that some of them I don't even think she knows that she did. I just kind of like
phenomenal
just stayed like behind her and just kind of listened and watched her, and a lot of watching her. And I know she knows because she got my thank you cards all the time for randomly stupid ideas she thinks, but she has no idea how intricate in my life that she is. So whenever you get a thank you card, Donna, just remember it's because I watch you and you are the best.
She's awesome.
Yeah. And so, but I saw an opportunity that I was like learning on. And so I came back after cod season. That's when I left you. Cod season, which is April, May. And I asked Sharon, my stepmom, that was at this time pretty much basically running the fish market from the back by herself. And, my dad's paralyzed and moved to Marietta, I think, or he moved shortly after that. And I asked her what she wanted with the fish market. And, and she just wished that she could continue. And she just wished that she had the oomph to up and do it. And, and she just wants it to be, our family legacy. She just wants it to be okay. And, and so we just started having lunches and we started talking. And then I went back and I did herring. And then I came back and I had more questions for her. And then I realized, and I learned, I didn't realize, I learned that the county was going to lease it out to a private investment company to do the revitalization, because this is where our problem stands. And this we
the Dana Point partners.
Yeah, we could do a whole story on this, but maybe we can get through this pretty quickly. So they were gonna put in.
You guys know what's going on down in Dana Point Harbor. They were gonna rebuild the whole harbor. They were gonna rebuild the whole harbor, and they raised the rent 300% on one day. They just decided raise the rent 300%, and then they took away all the leaseholders in the harbor. They didn't renew any of their leases. So that's why there was a mass exodus of all the stores there, because no one got their leases renewed. My family did because of my father and my sister. They saw this coming and they saw what was happening, and they got in there, and my dad fought very, very hard to make sure, just like he fought very hard for all of us. But what happened down in Dana Point Harbor is absolutely tragic because...
Yeah, well, it's tragic over and over again is what's really making it extremely difficult. But there is hope.
Yeah, there's always hope.
Believe it or not, in the end,
there's always hope.
There's hope. But it's over and over again. So this is the fourth time that it's failed. So, so we haven't had a lease. So we're on 30 days.
Imagine
for
that running
years.
Your business. It's only 30 days.
For the last 15 years.
Only knowing that you're going to have it for 30 days.
Yeah.
You're going to have it for
Not
30
that they
days.
would. So that's what kind of like enticed me. So like I'm not really a business person per se. I am now, but I wasn't back then. But I could do enough homework to see if it was worth something to maybe put a little bit of energy into. And not money.
Right.
But energy.
Yeah, because your family already owned it.
Right.
So what can we do to tweak it?
What can we do?
It better?
What do I want out of it? What does my family need out of it? So so part-time, a little thing that you don't know, part-time working in Alaska, part-time being a mom, before that and everything, and then part-time your deckhand and Catalina Express and all this other stuff. My whole life, I've been a cocktail waitress. Most of the time, either at the Villa Mexican restaurant or the Coach House.
Right. And
so that's what I know by nature.
We didn't even talk about the Coach House.
So by nature, I know the restaurant industry. So that's kind of where I navigated towards. So you look at it all and you look and see if there's opportunity there. And so then I went and I investigated on who was going to be financing this revitalization, who they already had on board that was taking the bids for the work, for the job, and what the probability of it was, right? So the outcome looked really good to maybe move forward into upsizing John and doing a little bit different, where, John does the processing for the harbor, and I had all these really simple, easy, up to date, solutions that we wanted.
John's Fish Market, gang, is what we're talking about.
John's Fish Market, Dana Point Harbor.
Yeah, and we got a picture here. I'll show you. This is one of Shayla's employees, and
this is Martha.
Fish Market.
Martha's been with us since the beginning. So this was the first day that we had beer and wine. This was my brother's idea, Todd Mansur. He said, we need to get beer and wine in there. So we got beer and wine in there.
Absolutely.
So that was the very first thing that I did when I got in there, was that it took us a year of going through all of the hoops and whatnot. But, when we grew up, it was a family restaurant, and my parents wanted to keep it a family restaurant. You wanted to go get drunk, you could go down to Turk's, or which was down the hatch, or go to Jolly Roger, or, up to, wherever. Captain's Anchorage, but not the fish market. But, nowadays it's different, and we have about 50-50. We have the locals, which are, extremely many more than we did growing up. And then we also have the tourism coming in. So it completes the experience of any restaurant. So we're getting there. We've got a lot of new ideas that we're going to be bringing in, which are just regular restaurant ideas.
But real quick, let's just jump over to something. While you were figuring this out, you had a bitchin' opportunity, because we did a tribute to Ralph.
Oh, yeah.
With your brother. We brought your brother back in because we just lost Ralph. Ralph just passed away, and we brought in Todd for a tribute to Ralph. But you know what was really special for you is you got to go on trip of a lifetime to Mag Bay with Ralph and your brother just for a few minutes. And we're going to go back to the fish market, because fish market is now, and this is what this show's about, is we all have to support the fish market in Dana Point Harbor. It's a family-owned business. It's not like going to the grocery store and buying fish. It's just in Dana Point Harbor, in the wharf, family-owned. The Mansurs have had it for a long, long time. Before that, it was owned by the Scalas, and they had it for a very long time. Shayla grew up there. Todd grew up there. I grew up there. We all grew up at John's Fish Market. But let's just talk about Ralph and the trip you got to do with Ralph. It was one of his last trips to Mag Bay. It was pretty spectacular, and you were there, and you got to have, and don't start crying because I'll start crying, but you got to have a pretty special time with your brother, because you and your brother had never done anything like that. That long on a boat together, you and your bro?
That was my dream.
Right?
I had arrived at that time.
Right? That was pretty special.
I earned my stars enough for my brother to invite me to go to Mag Bay.
Because
what a freaking blessing.
You kicked butt. You got to be the deckhand on the boat.
But then not only that, but Ralph and his buddies letting me go, and knowing what it meant to me and my brother with all the stuff that was going on with my mom. So you said not cry, and that's going to make me cry. So, I could only, I know that my brother's grieving right now really, really hard, because Ralphie was like a dad to him.
Right.
And in a lot of ways that my dad wasn't, and, and my dad was the dad the way he was, and Ralphie was, continued that on for Todd. And, he was.
You got to go to Mag Bay with your brother, who's like one of the
So it was actually Ralph that made me jump in the water. So listen to this. So I jumped in a bait ball with marlin.
And when we say marlin, not one or
not
two,
one,
hundreds
of marlin that you fish when you find a bait ball in Mexico, and then you go and you take the bait and you run it down the bait ball. No, Todd's deckhand, like all of a sudden I turn around, gets a mask on and some fins, and jumps in the water. I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, yeah.
Get in.
And then Ralphie's like, what are you waiting for? And then because I don't know if my brother approved, but Ralphie approved. So I'm like, boss. And before I could even think about, Jeff Irwin and getting stabbed, Steve Irwin, and getting stabbed by anything.
The stingray.
I'm in the water, and I'm looking around, and here's just in this deep blue, I can't even explain that blue, of just fish just
darting
huge,
back and forth,
just amazing. But not only that, I caught my first, I fished my first marlin. I leadered my
your
first
marlin.
you know, and I got to do all that stuff. I think there was, it's on my Facebook, but there was like 16 different fish that I caught in like a 5-day span that I'd never caught before, that I only heard you guys talking about. Like, I mean, yeah, it was insane.
Right.
That was like,
and
that's
you
all
got
I
to
needed.
do that with your brother.
Like, I could have died after that trip.
You did that with your bro.
I know.
How wild. And Ralphie.
I know.
Just a trip of a lifetime. Again, going to Mag Bay is, if you're a fisherman, anywhere on the planet Earth, those of you that have fished for a long time, you've heard about the stories of Mag Bay. Mag Bay is one of the most spectacular places on the earth. You see a lot of my videos on fishing in Lopez Mateo. That's part of Magdalena Bay. That's like the magical place. All is just beautiful. It's like Jurassic Park.
And everybody knows you guys everywhere down the line.
And Todd's been doing it at a high level for a very long time. A lot of the guys look to Todd. Hey, can you give me one of your grouper spots? Hey, can you give me one of these? Can you give me one of those? And then when he picks the deckhand that's going to go with him for the trip, because he's been doing it for 30 years, when he picks the deckhand, that's a big deal. Yeah. And for him to pick you to go, that's a pretty special time. And you guys, that's pretty special. And you got to do it with Ralphie gang. Any of you that are watching this show that fish for a living, you know Todd. You know this must have been one of the most spectacular trips. You can't even comprehend. No. She got to see some of the most incredible fishing, but the place is incredible. And Todd knows it like he knows how to drive his car to his house every day. He can do Mag Bay with his eyes closed, and to be with him, oh my God. How cool, right? How spectacular! That helped you make your decision.
Well, I know that's what those with you and Todd, and that is like, I was home.
You can't let the family legacy die, though.
No.
That's why you're where you're at today.
Yes.
With this fish market thing, gang. Which is, gang, if you are into family businesses and family-run businesses, look at king crab fishing on the Bering Sea, Shala. That's bad.
So let me tell you what I know about fishing. Okay, so I don't know fishing like a lot like you guys. Like, I got to experience that. What a freaking blessing for me to open up what I do know. So I know the consumption of fish. So this is where it gets a little bit different for me. So I know how to integrate that into a restaurant. So I knew what the restaurant needed to get to where it needs to be. So it's kind of still making its way back there. We've had to jump through kind of a bunch of different hoops, and we don't know if we're staying. We don't know if we're going. We don't know if we need to get a new refrigerator. We don't know if we're going to do this. So we've been jumping through a little bit of hoops, the last couple of years, but what it needs and stuff is that's my department. So I am so in love with where I am right now. I'm not on a boat. I'm not fishing, but here's what I was going through the pictures to look for you, what to put on here. And I'm just like, I just want to cry on how spectacular my life is.
Your life has been.
But that's also how I know, if I ever have any doubt, I could just go back and look at my Facebook, because it's my scrapbook. But I could just go back and look. But not only that, but just imagine how much experience I got in the seafood that I'm serving.
Right.
Yeah. So I know everything about that seafood and what I'm serving. So when you're going to John's Fish Market, I can tell you what you're eating, and you can trust that you're eating that. So you're not just getting some salted, puffed out, watered down, previously frozen cod. You're getting Alaskan cod, premium cod from Trident Seafoods that I worked for out of Seattle and Tacoma.
Well, like
that
Tommy,
came straight out of Alaska.
Here's a perfect. Tommy Gomes says this all the time, and he was on our show, and this is one of my favorite sayings. Good seafood isn't cheap, and cheap seafood isn't good.
No, sir, it is not.
And if you guys are living somewhere in Orange County and you're going to the grocery store and buying fish, you're doing yourself a giant a disservice. Yeah. You are, because 99.9% of that garbage at the grocery store, we don't even know where it came from, and the label on it doesn't even tell you what it really is. You go to
when it was caught,
you go to Tommy Gomes Tuna Market, or Tunaville, excuse me, or you go to Shayla's John's Fish Market. Not only does it say what it is, but the people standing behind the counter, they know where it came from, because it came in as a whole fish, And they cut it up behind the scenes there, just like at Tommy's, at Tunaville.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important. And it's a family business. And, Kelly, Shala, why the pandemic was going on full speed, you gave one of the most phenomenal services to Dana Point. You were feeding everybody.
Yeah.
Why no one else was feeding people, gang. I don't know if you were paying attention to what Shala was doing, but she was the first person in with the idea to take out. Come get your food down here. Come be safe, be clean. Come get clean seafood from Shala. It was incredible what you were doing.
We were the only show in town.
Right.
They would literally pick up their to-go box and go over and sit on the ground in front of John's Fish Market and watch the John Fish Market show. When you could go anywhere around this empty
harbor. The whole harbor was empty.
And they would sit down there and they would watch because there was no movies, there was no shows, there was no entertainment, there was nothing else.
You couldn't sit in the restaurant, but you could sit on the ground in front of the restaurant.
Yeah, you couldn't
figure that one out. That made a lot of sense, right, ladies and gentlemen? And we
would have to clear people out in intervals
because you didn't want to get shut down.
Because there was, always a random person with a clipboard going around.
Yeah, you didn't want to get shut down, but she was feeding everybody when no one was feeding anybody. She was there. She was doing.
Not only that, but we fed the hospital workers.
Yeah, incredible.
So we took meals for the Hugs for Heroes. We did the hospital along with Pepe's down the street, and we boxed up.
Thank you, Elliot.
We boxed up tacos. Or
anything what Elliot's doing?
I know, Elliot. You're just the best.
That's insane, buddy. You are so good to us. Thank you. Just insane. Because we threw this show on him. Because I didn't know if I'd make it back in time to do the show tonight. I told you guys all that 2 days ago. I knew Shala was here, and I didn't know if we'd be back in time. We threw the show together.
Yeah.
In like an hour. So thank you, Elliot. Gang, you don't understand. If you look at these pictures Elliot's showing you, John's Fish Market in Dana Point Harbor, the new partners that came in there pretty much kind of destroyed the whole.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, hold on that really quick. I just want to say, in all fairness, because I decided to go with them too, so I don't want to totally shoot myself in the head. In all fairness, I think that they had a fair chance to really actually make happen what we all for years and decades over and over again kept on voting to allow happen, which is revitalizing the harbor. I really think that they had a good, solid chance at making that happen. Unfortunately, their hands were tied in different ways, just like, bureaucracy, whatever. Their hands have been tied in a lot of different ways. And, when you're talking about big money management and everything, it doesn't always look the best. They always look like the bad guy, but really, honestly, I do think that they had a really good potential to make that happen. And we had some really great plans planned out, with the few of us that left, and it was going to be hard. It was going to be really difficult to do this. I mean, it still may be, I don't know. But, something's got to give here. If we're not going to be doing this right now, we're going to probably all be asking for leases. But, Dana Point and the Chamber of Commerce, they're asking you guys, on their website to go to there and talk about it, and talk about it and get your voice back in it. Because obviously a lot of people were really shaken about the revitalization because we were this close to it actually happening.
Yeah.
This close, and I have to say, without saying why or whatever, it just didn't happen. But honestly, really, they did give it a really good, solid try. They are a good property management company. I mean, we're talking about big money here. Everything's going to be more expensive. It's not going to be the way it was and all that other stuff. It's going to be changed and all this other thing. But taken aside from that, I don't want them to lose any of their credit as a large, big business that had
That's what tuna's supposed to look like.
See, I wouldn't know what fresh tuna would have looked like if I didn't go deckhanding for Dave Hansen.
But that's what it's supposed to look like, gang.
Isn't that beautiful?
When you get that garbage,
that is gorgeous.
At the grocery
and you can
store
come down
that
and
you
get
can
it on a
see
paper
through.
plate.
If you put your finger up there and you see through it, that's not tuna. That's some other garbage they painted red. This is real. That's what it's supposed to look like. Just like Tommy said when he was on the show, this is real tuna. And when you come down to the fish market, you get to find out. You get to learn a little bit.
Yeah.
And you do a cool thing with the lobsters. You have the lobster tank. Yeah. You have the crabs. Everything's caught.
Yeah.
Huh?
Lobster races, yeah.
Yeah, lobster races. There's Todd.
There's my brother, my nephew, Waylon.
Yeah, check that out. Todd telling you about lobsters. You get this whole family thing going on, gang.
And same with the kids, that was really big with my dad. He really, and Sharon, they really, they really wanted kids to learn how to work. So that's what I try to give to the kids is how to work.
There's your dad.
They stay responsible. There
right there, yeah.
Responsibilities, and there it is.
Yeah, there he is. That's why you go to John's Fish Market, gang. That's John. Doesn't get any more real than that.
There's so much experience there. I did not have enough time with you, Dad. I did not have enough time.
Put your arm up there. There's swordfish on her arm. Her dad was one of the gnarliest sword fishermen. He was just a gnarly sword fisherman back in the day, throwing the harpoon, doing it. Just unbelievable wealth of knowledge, just like your brother. I want to
throw in one more thing really quick before I forget.
Go. We don't have
So, knowing about the seafood, I did have a kid out of Oregon. Oh, yeah. I earned that.
Yeah, you did.
So, that was caught with that. That is a billy dart. That's a tracing of it. So, I had this kid hit me up that knew a guy, or that got my number from a guy that I got a job with out in Alaska, right? Gave him the information and he went up there and worked, and he's been having the time of his life. So he got a hold of this kid in Oregon, and this kid has been sending me the last couple of days overnight fresh Chinook salmon. Okay. King salmon from Oregon overnight. Wow. So I just want to let you guys know, I'm not letting this fish go bad. Okay. So salmon is already expensive. So literally is down at the fish market right now. I think it was like $26 a pound, which is ridiculous. Okay. I told the kid, I said, hey, you're going to have plenty of business down here. What it is sustainability. Okay. One person at a time. One person makes a difference. One fisherman starts selling to some guy that comes down on his dock and takes everything he has and goes overseas with it. It does us absolutely no good here. There is plenty of fish for all of us to eat of all varieties right here on our coast. Look for it. Go to your local markets and look for that seafood. Because if we don't have a demand for it, if we're going to keep buying it from grocery stores and outsourced everywhere else, we're going to overfish our fish. Now, one more thing. I don't think that farming that we have in the Scottish farming, the Atlantic farming is that bad. However, I'm not going to give it to you guys, but you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay high for it. It's about $30 right now for any coho salmon. When the next silver salmon season comes around, it's going to be about $34. I've been warned about that it's going up. And that is because of shipping costs and everything else. Okay. But it's still worth it because of the fish that you're getting. So come down right now while we're getting this Chinook king salmon, because that season is very short. Okay. It doesn't last because they want them to grow bigger. So Alaska's really good about their regulations.
Right.
We need to learn from them. They only have like our sea bass coming up. I think it's June 16th, right? Something like that. So white sea bass season's coming up. Look for that. So there's a couple things going on right now. And that's what we live on, that's what my dad was. He was fair market. Now, towards the end, before my brother and I took over the fish market, it was kind of hard for them to do, and they had to outsource to some other stuff. But it doesn't matter because people would go to Waterman's and they didn't even see us for a while there. So we're there, and anything that you need. Also, we can pretty much get you anything that you need. So if you're coming in out of a different country or different state or different part of the United States, from the South or from the East Coast or whatever, if you're from Michigan or something and you liked a certain kind of fish when you were growing up, ask me if I can get it. Because more than likely, I could probably get it for you. Because my dad and my brother and I have made such connections over so many decades.
Thank you, Elliot.
That there's a lot of different, areas that we can resource our resources. So anything that you need.
Something like we've got to go back and talk about for just a second, like we said a few minutes ago. And Tommy Gomes subs us up perfect, and you're hitting a home run with this. Good seafood isn't cheap, and cheap seafood isn't good, gang. It matters so much to support the local fishermen, to support the local fish markets. Just think the next time you go buy something, Shala and her family are down there in the fish market. making it happen. Shayla kept it going through the whole pandemic. You were down there. You were making a difference. Tommy Gomes, he feeds people all the time. You feed people all the time. Okay, Shayla ain't making it rich. She's getting by. She's supporting her family. She's doing the best she can. Support her, gang. You got to get down to John. If you haven't been there and you live in Orange County, it's worth it to get down to the harbor. Go for the drive. Go down there and see what's going on. Go down there and check out the fish market. Go inside and look. Go in there and say hi to this young lady. She's been there since Shayla started. She's been one of your top employees. She's been there forever. Shayla, when she was a little girl,
she used to put bandages on my knees because when I fall on my skates.
And Shayla used to shuck oysters in there for Kyoko so that she could get quarters to give to Todd so Todd could play games so that Todd could meet us.
He could take me fishing.
Yeah, so Todd could take her out fishing, gang. It's a family deal. It's still going. It's down there in the harbor. It's right next to my family's business, Dana War Sport Fishing. But it's a big deal. It's going to make you feel good inside when you go there and you see.
Yeah, it is a big
people.
Deal. It is a big deal.
But you have people just like Kurt that was on here, Lindy. His son works for you.
Yeah.
He's proud. His son's working for you. It's just the proudness of understanding that it's not a big corporation. You're helping a family-owned business who is also supporting. How many people do you have working for you right now?
About 38, 40 people.
Okay. Think about that. These are all families that you're helping when you go down there and you buy that piece of fish. Instead of going to the grocery store and buying something that you have no idea where it came from. You have no idea how it got there, where it came from. So check out the fish that you're buying. Check out the family that you're supporting. Check out Dana Wharf Sport Fishing. When you're down there, check out John's Fish Market. We sat side by side, right next to each other. It can't get any more real than that. It is about as real as it gets. You want to check out
this one. Got to do a little infomercial here.
Something fishy.
This stuff is the bomb.
Gang, if you haven't been over on his website yet, you have to go check out Something Fishy. Brandon's put together, he's a chemist. He's put together this product that takes away. Last week, I showed you on my show, Marley. He's a monkey. I have a pet monkey. That's why Shayla's down here. Shayla and Eric are down here. He's the smallest monkey in the world. He's as tall as this roasted Anchor coffee cup.
He's not even that tall.
No, he's probably not even that tall. But he makes the biggest mess that you can possibly imagine. And he poops and pees everywhere and it smells really bad. But this stuff, you spray it one time in the air in the room and there's no more smell. So if you have smells, it doesn't even have to be fishy smells. If you just want to get rid of the odor, this stuff's incredible, right?
Yes.
Absolutely incredible. Something Fishy. Just Google it. Check it out. Go check out Brand. And then if you do, and you go, I want to get rid of the stench, just type in YSWG, your saltwater guide. I don't even know my own company. I'm sorry. Literally, I just drove the Baja for 2 days. I got here 2 hours ago. I'm doing the best I can. Yeah, my name of my company is Your Saltwater Guide. I know. How did I forget? YSWG. Put that in and you get 10% off the product. Okay. Thank you all for watching to our show. Remember, Shayla used to work on the island of Alaska, gang. Isn't that gnarly? Can you believe that? She was working on the island of Alaska.
Yeah. What's your name of your company?
I don't even know the name of my own gosh darn company. And I must say it 1,000 times a day. I even wear the shirt so I don't forget the name of the company. Gang, thank you for supporting us all the time. Shayla's working with Elliot now because of what a spectacular human he is that's put us out in front of everybody. The guy is unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
He's out to dinner with his wife and he stops everything and he
did. He's like, I'm making dinner for the kids.
Is that incredible?
Yeah, he did.
And gang, Darren, thank you. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, everybody. Dan, everybody that makes this show happen. I want to thank every one of you. I can't thank you enough. Everybody, Augie.
Wait, we got to do a deal.
What's the deal?
Okay, swordfish, because that's what we're made of. Okay. So listen, I'm going to tell my staff right now. I'm going to text them all as soon as we get off of here.
Benjamin says he loves working for you.
Oh, Ben.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben. Okay, let's see. What is it? 20% off?
It's up to you, sweetheart.
Okay, 20%
it's your
off
business.
Anything swordfish. Just go down and mention my saltwater guide.
Your salt, not
but
mine.
you're my saltwater guide.
Mention your saltwater guide at John's Fish Market, and you're going to get
Where's Alaska?
20% off. And that swordfish is coming straight from the island of Alaska.
You get 20% off anything if you just mention your saltwater guide.
What day?
Any day. I'm not back until Monday, so you better give the crew a time to.
Any day next week.
Yeah.
We got to set a time.
Okay.
So from Monday to Friday.
Monday through Friday.
Next week.
Next week.
Walk in. Your saltwater guide. Drive up from San Diego, Kim and Dan. Kim, make Dan drive you up there. Go support Shala at the fish market. Darren,
come meet me.
Take your daughter, Augie. Take your son. Get down there. Go see Shala. If you go in there next week, Shala will be there. Put in the tell Shala, hey, YSWG, I watched you on Dave's show. She's going to post this all over her social media. It's going to be everywhere. Her daughter is a social media queen, too. Maybe your daughter will even help you out and post it on her social media. Wouldn't that be unbelievable?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be weird, though, if our kids did something for us? That would be gnarly. I can't even believe it. Like my son did for me.
They made me babies.
Well, remember what my son did for me. He helped me out on my vacation.
Right?
Yeah, he did a great job, Zach. You're so awesome. Thank you so much. That was so awesome. Gang, we had a really good time with Shala tonight. I hope you all did. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you know a little bit more about her now. She is.
I can't. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Don't forget Pacific Sport Fishing. I'm losing it here. Don't forget to go see Larry. Book your dream trip. Going fishing with Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. You got to hit that QR code. You got to grab that code, gang. You got to see what he's got going on. It's not going to hurt you to hit the QR code. Take a picture with your phone like you used to do when you were out trying to eat 2 years ago when you couldn't go to a restaurant and sit down inside. Shala was feeding you and making you sit on the trash can out in front of John's Fish Market because it was way cleaner than sitting inside of a restaurant, right?
I remember this guy saying, oh, watch out for Shala. She's going to take a picture and post it on Instagram. If you need to know where Shala is, Shala's taking a poop, you know where she is because she puts it on her Facebook.
Okay.
Now look at this guy, huh? who's talking now?
I didn't know anything about
well, that's why I have all the good pictures.
I didn't know how it all
I have it all documented.
I'm like, don't take pictures of this, Shala. We're catching giant tuna. We don't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody. Now, if I catch a tomcod, I'm posting pictures of it. All right, gang. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being a part of the show. I love you too, sweetheart. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Good night.